when I first started working in production, I worked on Pinocchio, which I still consider the best animated film ever made. And it was just, a joy to work on that thing. And the guy just, they just threw everything. They made good animation. Everything was just, they had a good story. And my golly, they animated mob scenes that you can't believe. It was just a very well done film. You have a chance to see it sometime again. And you'll laugh. It's a funny film, and it was well done. And I'll never forget, guys like Fergie Ferguson. Fergie was, at that time, was Walt's, I guess, #1 animator. He had a lot of good ones. Like I mentioned, Art Babbitt and Bill Titler, and there was Freddie Moore, and there's a whole bunch of guys that, all of them were great animators. And, but anyhow, Fergie was responsible for some of the funniest animation I've ever seen, and he did it there for Fantasia. He was a type of a personality. He was one of the guys that would say, when we had in those classes I was taking at night, he'd stay in once in a while and give a lecture on drawing the characters. He always preface his lecture by saying, well, I can't draw. He said, when I became an artist, a cartoonist, I did it because somebody told me to use a quarter, a nickel, and a dime to draw. And I learned to draw. Use a quarter, for the head, dime for the ears, and then the nickel, just use it. And that's the way he learned to draw. But then he started drawing poses, of action poses. And boy, could he draw. As soon as we finished Pinocchio, they started already, preliminary work on Fantasia. So from there, we moved right over to everybody, all the rabble that was, could draw, moved over from Pinocchio to Fantasia. The really good artists went from Pinocchio to Bambi. But we that worked on Fantasia, I think, had the most fun. Me and my friends, we used to think and say, someday we'll be proud to admit that we had worked on Fantasia. Because within the ranks, there was a lot of, criticism and a lot of comment on what we were doing. And now these were guys that had wonderful, background in art. They had great art appreciation. They knew all about the famous artists of history. And they complained about some of the philosophy of some of the things we were doing, even though we were cartoonizing it. Kelly, how could we take, somebody said once, oh, I know what started, and Walt started. He had seen some dailies on the Sixth Symphony, which we refer to that as the what was it? He was like the bawdy symphony. It was a story about a lot of drunkenness and a lot of great fun of centaurs and centaurettes, and it was just and when Walt saw the first dailies, I wasn't in the room, but in the sweat box where they ran the thing. He said, "Oh boy," he said, "this is great. This will set old Beethoven in the map." Well, some of my friend was there says, "Is he crazy? Doesn't he know who Beethoven is?" Anyhow, so see, that was some of the conflict, very subtle conflict against Walt's irreverent, uneducated comments about these guys. We did a film on the Rites of Spring. And at that time, what's his name, the Russian composer, was, I guess, living here in L.A. So Walt called him over to see what we were doing. Very proud. And again, I wish I'd been on the sweat box, but they said that old stone face, that was, Stravinsky. He sat there like that, saw the whole thing, got up, shook Walt's hand, and left. And old Walt turned to him, boy, he liked it. He He did have a comment, though, Stravinsky. He said, I hardly think that when I was doing the ballet, I was doing a history of dinosaurs and the start of the world, he said. And he walked out. Walt took that as a compliment. We were embarrassed. God damn it, what's the matter with Walt? I mean, it wasn't our place to say, but I'm just saying there was some of the conflict that also led up to the strike. Conflict between real artists and Walt, who was just a great producer. But they were very subtle. Believe me, there was only stuff that 2 or 3 of us would talk about and then, forget about it. Because it was so much fun working when we were working. We loved what we were doing.